All right, so today's Lessoncast is going to be exceedingly short. And that's because this is leading into an activity that we're going to be doing that we're going to cover a little bit more in depth with the next few lessons. So, the last time we looked at two basic approaches to to being an entrepreneur in America. There are the people that Professor Bert Folsom from Hillsdale referred to as market entrepreneurs. Those were men and women who used private money, whether that was their own cash, family and friends investing, or bank loans. So essentially, capital formation, one of the concepts we talked about, free market economics, and the little bubbles that we did. Private entrepreneurs or market entrepreneurs use private money to start and fund businesses. These companies tend to produce better quality materials, allow more access to the materials, reduce costs, and encourage competition, benefiting everybody. Now, on the other side of the coin are political entrepreneurs. Political entrepreneurs are men or women who use government subsidies, one of our vocab words, government subsidies, or special arrangements to run their business. Essentially, the government becomes their client. This is the essence of crony capitalism, the idea that your business specializes in having government agencies as their clientele. Political entrepreneurs and their companies tend to result in higher costs, less access, widespread corruption, and failure, largely due to a lack of competition. And what we're going to be doing for the next portion of part 3 is we're really going to be examining the sort of dichotomy or the like juxtaposition or the like comparing and contrasting the growth of wealth in America and specifically how that ties into the concept of market and political entrepreneurship. So we're going to start by looking at market entrepreneurship, and we're going to look at it in the form of some examples. So let's rewind here a little bit. In 1840, 20 years before the Civil War, there were 40 people in America who were millionaires. Now, doing some quick math, which isn't exactly my forte, that works out to be like roughly one person in every 500,000. One person in every 500,000 was a millionaire. It's really not that much. And of those 40 millionaires, 20 of them lived in the same place, the city of Natchez, Mississippi, which is kind of strange. But that really does make a lot of sense if you think about this, because in the 1840s, most of America's wealth was derived from plantation economy, cotton. So it makes sense that half of America's richest people would live in a town near the Mississippi River where cotton was being grown. Move up 35 years. The year before the Centennial Expo, pretty much the wrap-up year of Reconstruction, let's say. In that 35-year period, the number of millionaires went from 40 to 100. It went up by 250%. That's a big jump. pretty darn cool. That money, which by the way, let me try to do some like figuring here, which is it's probably not going to work too terribly well, but that works out to be roughly 1 millionaire for about every 25 or every 250,000 Americans. So realistically, you had a fairly sizable, jump in that way. Though that money was largely the result of the expansion during Reconstruction. Now, a more interesting number, however, is this one right here. So, 35 years, you go from 40 to 100 people having being millionaires. In 1890, that number jumps from 100 to 4,000. That is a massive increase in people. And in 1890, and that by the way works out to be roughly 1 millionaire for about every 75,000 people. That is a huge increase there. And in 1890, half of America's millionaires, that's 2,000 of them, live in the same place again. But it ain't Natchez, Mississippi this time. No, it's New York City, because that's where the money now is. This process and this amazing jump here, because look at this, 35 years, you pop up 15 years, and it's like, holy buckets, that's a giant jump there. In the years of Reconstruction, so basically the decade after the end of the Civil War, you have new industries and new opportunities for investing that pop up. Primarily manufacturing and transportation in the form of railroads, and the banks that invest their money in those businesses. This is where this giant increase starts, from here to here. Most of the jump from 40 to 100 takes place in the decade after the Civil War. This jump here is largely due to political entrepreneurship. And that political entrepreneurship is in the form of railroads. And we're going to talk a whole lot in the coming lessons about railroad entrepreneurship. The more interesting number is this jump here in this. So this is 35 years, and you more than double it. In 15 years, you go well beyond that. I mean, we're talking about like, I want to say it's like a 4,000% increase. Why? This is largely market entrepreneurship. We're going to look over the next several days at 5 market entrepreneurs. And these 5 men each have a very unusual contribution or part that they play. America's first millionaire, by the way, was fur trading like mogul innovator John Jacob Astor, America's very first millionaire, who made his money in the trading of primarily beaver, but lots of fur. The millionaire who kind of transitions between the old millionaire class of America and the new millionaire class was Cornelius Vanderbilt, who made his money in transportation, specifically in steamships and railroads. And there's also, so he is the first American, by the way. He is like the transitional millionaire from the old style money to the new style money. He is the first American to make or to be worth $100 million. John D. Rockefeller in the oil industry. He is America's first billionaire. And in terms of actual wealth, he is the wealthiest private citizen who has ever lived. Andrew Carnegie made his money in the steel industry. Carnegie gives us a very unique view on what wealth really means in something that he wrote and spoke about that he refers to as the gospel of wealth, which we are going to cover quite extensively. J.P. Morgan, investment banker, the only man on this list who did not create a product or invent a new service. But what Morgan did that was different than anybody is he was the money that floated America's millionaires, the cash that they needed, and he also is the money that started people's businesses. And last but not least, James J. Hill, builder of America's first private transcontinental railroad. He paid for it through his own work and his own investment. So next week, or next lesson set, we are going to look at specifically J.P. Morgan. And I'm going to give you a breakdown of his life and how he made his money and what he did and the consequences of what he did. And that'll be a template for you guys when you put together your lesson on the market entrepreneur that you've been assigned. And I'll explain to you how that goes. So we're going to stop off here for today. Peace and love.